This is going to be about do it for your ancestors. Now, this is something I always really want to talk about, especially for the last few months since I started this channel, right? And this is something that's always been bothering me, I would say, honestly, because we're starting to look around, right? And there's so much negativity everywhere, no matter where we look, right? You go online, obviously, and this is gets the most click. It's just how, the most clicks. It's just how it gets our brains, right? And I thought about this the one night. I'm sitting here like writing and reading, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't think I've ever really seen a lot of people talk about this on their, on YouTube or anything like that. And I was like, we got to do it for our ancestors. I feel like there's so much negativity now. Everyone's so black-pilled to the point of like, oh, everything's hopeless, man. You have to be the hope in your life. You have to. You have to act like this is a movie, right? And you're the main character. You just got to pick yourself up. You're in despair. You're all the way at the bottom. And you're like, I got to rise right back to the top. I have to rebuild. It's going to take a long time, too. It doesn't just happen overnight like this, right? Even though we wish it kind of would. But then, the process would be like, what's the point then if it happens like this in an instant, right? I think that's something we can all agree on. But this is something that's always kind of bothered me, right? I'd be back in school and stuff like this. When I was younger, I always used to think in class because I would get so bored of school. And I would just be like, man, imagine what our ancestors would be doing right now instead of being in this classroom and stuff. Like, I always like picture it. Because I never really, I don't know my full background at the time. And I was like, damn, wonder what they would be doing at like 10 years old or whatever. Would they be helping their father on the farm or whatever, right? But we've gotten so comforted in this country, and that's like one of the biggest problems. So we're kind of all fragile now too. I don't know if you kind of notice this, but there's a lot of people I've known and talked to, and they can't handle conversations very well. It's a really weird divide yesterday, right? I'm sitting here, I go to one of my favorite places to eat, right? And it's very simple, right? And you see I saw these like kids come in and order food, right? Dude, it was so bad. They couldn't even say the words. They were so terrified. There was like no communication. It was really strange. It wasn't like they were autistic or anything, because they clearly weren't. They were fine like in a friend group, but to order something, they just didn't know what to say. It was really strange to me. It's like they knew what they wanted to, but we've gotten to the point, right, where everybody's starting to struggle. We're starting to see that everyone's kind of like getting retarded to the point of like they can't even communicate well, right? Does that make sense? And this is something that our ancestors, right, would be really disappointed with us in. Everything that we're seeing today. I think even with, like, if we're looking back at World War II for a quick second, they would be really disappointed. They probably wouldn't even went. Like, seriously. They would look around now and be like, what the fuck is this? They would see all these trends and then all this other stuff. It doesn't even make sense. We lost God in the community. And this is something that's always been bothering me, right? And this is something that I always, like, really kind of never understood, how we just flopped so quickly in 50 years. And my opinion was, right, when I was growing up, is that a lot of people didn't follow society. That's how it always kind of seemed to me, right? When I was very young and like, the younger years and like, I would say middle schoolish eras, right? But then you start to look around. People are easily conformists, or they don't want to give their worldview and points, which is not very many people that have enough gall to talk about it, right? And, I would have conversations with people. They get pissed if you like, not even if you attack them or anything, right? If you like, I like having civil conversations, and I'll be honest. I like having conversations where I can kind of push boundaries on purpose. It's just to see like because a lot of people start to get pissed quick, right? And this is like many things I used to have with a lot of people I know who are Muslims and stuff like that, right? For example, I'll bring this up. And this is, so like I'll bring up something in their religion, and in their religion we'll say, right? And they get pissed. Like they're like, oh, why are you questioning this, that, and the other thing? We've gotten so crazy soft too with this. Is another thing I want to talk about. Our ancestors would never put up with this shit. And I gotta be honest with you, we should not have to be putting up with this shit. This is something that always kind of like just bothered me. Like, I don't care if you come here, but you gotta do it legally, and you gotta start like accustomed to our practices here. We don't start doing what you want. And this is the craziest thing. I was having a conversation with this dude the other day. He's a Muslim, right? And he was saying that it's disrespectful for us to eat in front of him during Ramadan. And I'm like, dude, no, you're in our country. You need to follow our rules. I was like, I'm not bending the knee to you. I was like, it's disrespectful. I'm like, you're not going to come here and start judging our way of life and start taking over. And that's what a lot of them are kind of doing here now, right? And this is how it kind of ties into our ancestors. Look, we don't care as long as you came here legally, right? And you're not causing issues. But the problem is we're starting to see this everywhere now. Like where I live, right? I live outside one of the biggest cities in America. And I'm literally, this is like one of my first videos I talked about with my friend on his channel too, T-Man TV, check him out. And we were talking about this, and I was like, dude, I'm trying to go through my dentist appointment. They're blocking the street, and that's a problem. It's just, how far are we going to keep accepting this? Like, are people really this weak and like afraid to stand up for things now? And start speaking out against things? And that's something I never really understood. Like, I truly just don't. But I want to get off that for a quick second. It's just, I want to switch into the men topic for a second. This is something that's really kind of always bothered me in the last 2 years. I really recognize this more than anything. You know, before I really didn't notice this. I think it's just something that's been happening for the last 2 years, 2024 and up. I would say it's starting to blow up a little bit more. And we know that men have been under attack for a long time. We've seen this from the movies, the TV shows going back to the 90s. I would say late 90s, early 2000s, they started to push this like radical change of making men weak and docile and retarded in any TV show you watch. Now, we can include The Simpsons or, you know, something like Family Guy, I would think about. But this is just not something that's normal and okay to me. And if you met a lot of these dudes today, it's very sad. And I don't like it. And it's a few reasons how this is happening, right? It's what my last video was about, the single fatherness in America, one of the biggest problems going on. We're not being taught enough. It's just, and that's the weirdest part to me, right? Like, when you would grow up, you thought you'd be, you know, your parents would teach you and everything like that. It's something I'll be doing a lot with my kids, right, to teach them about life and everything. But it's like, you didn't really have that. And, you know, the worldviews of certain people, I just didn't agree with. There was this crazy radical changes that I've seen within people in the last 10 years. Like, they've gotten so far left, or it's just they've gotten retarded pretty much, which is the same thing. And but it's just, the attack for men is getting out of hand, from the feminist movement that happened around, I believe, 2012 with Harvey Weinstein with the Me Too movement. I could be wrong with the years here, but it's gotten so chaotic. And what I mean by this, right, we could talk about the woman all day. We know this, right? We know how like crazy they are, the high body counts, the hypergamy, all that other shit, right? And that's something I'll just dabble quickly with. It's just, and I brought this up stories before, right? When I was with my ex-girlfriend, she was great, right? It was the people around her that were trying to change her for the worst. They were doing drugs. They were getting fucked by every different guy every weekend. They were weekend warriors pretty much. And I don't like women like that personally. It's just, they're annoying to me. And it's like, why can't we just be boring and have fun a little bit? I have a sense of like, let's go, you know, very simple things like laser tag, bowling, stuff like that. I just don't like the other retarded shit, drinking, doing drugs. I don't like that shit. I never will do it. It's just, it's not for me. It's just meant, to me, that's just retarded. There's better other things to be doing in your life than just sitting there like, oh, I'm gonna smoke my weed, man. Like, you're just a retard at that point. I'm just gonna keep it real here. I don't like shit like that. I never have. I hate the smell. It's just, and that's another thing I want to talk about too. Why the fuck is that on like almost every like mile down the road now? There's a dispensary. What the fuck is that? That's really pissing me off, right? In my area, like at least in a 5-mile radius, if you go into this town, there's like 3 of them, 1 down. It's like, dude, how? And it's a very small little town. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, I kind of want to say some other things, but it's like, I'm going to get banned on YouTube if I do. That's why I'm going to have this Rumble channel. I've been just saying this since I started the channel. Oh, I'm going to have Rumble. I got to start just putting like, you know, other content on there. Because on YouTube, you get blocked and, you know, whatever. It's just whatever. But it's just different day for different time. But you know, this is something I just always thought about, right? And, you know, society's always been crumbling. This is something that I repeat myself a lot in these videos, I'm starting to notice. But anyway, so society is crumbling. We know this. You beat the men up, right? Like the generational divide you have the gender divide, which is only 2 genders. We know this. It's very common sense. But here's the problem. There's so many people are so soft and scared to speak out that I even know myself, right? You could either talk about the transgenderism and stuff like that. You know, I worked with a few like transgenders people, and bro, I gotta be honest, no disrespect or nothing to them, but it's just like, there's a mental illness there. The parents are crazy enough. They want them to do it. It's like, why are you doing that to your kid? It's like, you need to actually be a parent. But we've gotten so soft in society, and there's actually narcissistic people that actually want this for clout almost on their kids. It's really strange. I remember seeing this one video many years ago. This is before I probably deleted social media. So this was probably 2020-ish, right before that era. 2021. And I was deleting all my social medias after I got my PS5. And I was sitting there, and I remember seeing this one video, like, they're at, like, a pride parade or something. And she's like, oh, my kid's gay. He's like, I'm not even gay. And, like, she was, like, kind of forcing it. It's kind of like a clout thing with these older parents now. And it's just really strange to me. Or I guess it would be, like, the millennial parents. And I don't know. You got to let me know what you think about that. Because it's getting really out of hand no matter what we talk about. And, you know, it is the internet, too. So you're going to see a lot more negativity and a lot of black pill. But, you know, our ancestors, you know, we have to kind of do it for them. I know I'm trying to, like, reel us back in really quickly, but it's just, like, we have to do it for them. We can't give up on ourselves. We have to, like, take up, you know, I don't want to say grab yourself up by the bootstraps, but you kind of have to, right? And I think a lot of people in America are working hard, and they're trying to say that we're not. We're saying we're lazy. We don't want these jobs, right? But I'm pretty sure your average American right now is, like, 2 to 3 jobs. I mean, I was working 3 jobs for a few years. I was doing Uber, Amazon, and my main job. And it's just, like, it's getting to a point, right? Like for 2 to almost 3 years, I was working at Amazon I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. Don't get me wrong, those checks were nice. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, it actually really did help me out. I paid off all my debt. And, you know, after I lost my car to a deer last year, I was able to get a new car right away. I had no issues. But, you know, paying that car off's not fun, but it's good. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, there's this thing going on. People can't really, you know, live and everything. This is literally, to me, I said this in another video, this is pretty much the 1930s Germany here in America now. We're in the Weimar Republic. We're seeing this high gender dysphoria, which happened in the 1930s of Germany, right? 1920s leading into the 30s in Nazi Germany, where we actually kind of see this with Magnus Hirschfeld, who started this whole thing, and you had brothels everywhere. And that's what the burnings of the books were, of course. So as I'm saying this, I think a lot of our ancestors were disappointed in us, right? And they would have a lot of faith in us if we just keep getting up every day, even if you're struggling with depression, anxiety, and stuff like that, which I've struggled for a long time, many years ago. And I didn't start to even, and I'll be honest here, I'm only 25, so I'm still young, people say, right? You know, we feel like really, like our life, you know, is going to end quickly and we're always behind. You're not, right? And as a 25-year-old, I can say this. I felt like my life has actually just started, I would say, around 7 months ago. I feel like that's when my life actually really started. Like, everything else was kind of like the prologue. Now I'm going into this, you know, the introduction of everything. And the reason why I say that, because everything I went through is hell and back, right? And I just kept going through, and I didn't give up no matter what of myself. I learned a lot of different things, and I know who I am. I know, like, what I want to be. You know, I had this really bad conversation with somebody almost 2 years ago, and, you know, I really love this person. I really, you know, really did, this other person. And they really disappointed me when they were just, like, bad-mouthing me and putting me down over the phone. And I was like, damn. It's like, you didn't achieve anything in your life. And this is something that I have to be honest with you guys. It's something that a lot of us haven't known, right? I realize, I'm like, damn. It's like, I don't want to ever be like this person at 60-something years old, right? And just to realize I never achieved my dreams, if that makes sense. And a lot of us, you know, won't or anything like that. And that's okay as long as you have a meaningful life, personally. But what I mean is here, what I'm saying, is that you get old, pissed off, decrepit. You never had any real dreams in your life. You never accomplished anything. You get narcissistic. You get egocentric to an extent of, like, you never achieved nothing, so you kind of blame everybody else with your negativity worldview. You don't know a lot about the world this person did, and it's unfortunate. And maybe I kind of wish I used my mind a little bit more with this person, but it was really just disappointing to get, like, you know, just deteriorating shitting on me for, like, 20 minutes. And I only listened to it because I was like, I got to see how kind of far this goes. I want to hear what this person says. And I'm like, by the end of it, after that, like, you know, last conversation, I'm like, damn. I was like, I really looked up to this person, really loved them. Sure, you know, it showed me how it really felt, you know, negativity towards, or negative things towards me. And I was like, look, this is what you have to do. And this is something I really realized. You have to do it for yourself, and you have to do it for your family that has come before you. Think about all the ancestors that came over here, right? Let's say if we go all the way back to, I don't know, my family's Irish, right? Let's say we go back to the 1400s or something. They did all, like, and I think I'm part Scandinavian or something too. So, like, let's say that I'm part Viking or something, for fun. Let's just say, think about all the shit they had to do, right? The pillaging, you know, I hate to even say that, but, like, they went to all these lands, they conquered it. Like, that's something we should be, like, kind of grateful for, in a sense. We're still alive, right? We have able to talk through a phone I'm doing right now, right? You have to kind of be grateful in this life, and this is something that I really want to tie the video into. Like, I'm very grateful for where I'm at, right? You know, I have food in my stomach, you know, I have a roof under my head. And a lot of people don't have that. That's something we kind of just have to accept, in a sense of, like, we don't like where we're at right now, right? But we got to start slow. And I'm very proud of where I am. A lot of people aren't. When I wasn't a few months ago, I'll be honest about this, about 8 months ago, for example, last year, you know, spending holidays alone and stuff like that kind of suck. I'll be honest with you. But, you know, it kind of builds character in me, I'll say, as well. And this is something a lot of people don't really understand, or they can't handle it. They don't want to be alone, which is fine. I get it. I hate being alone, but, you know, I'm kind of, like, antisocial in a sense. I had someone, like, was kind of calling me out about this the other day. They're like, I think you're getting too little antisocial in the extent of, like, you're always by yourself. I'm like, well, there's less bullshit. And I'm like, there's less to deal with, which is better for me. Because a lot of people are fake today, too. And I think society has just crumbled down with the sense of, like, hey, man, it's like, if you can't do something for me, I'm not going to be there for you. So, like, every relationship now is transactional, and that's something I really don't like. I don't understand why we can't just be what we used to be, like having a real loving relationship with your friends and family, but it's like hard to even have that nowadays. As long as it like relationship's transactional, that's all they really do. And I want to talk about a few other things too, and this is why I'm about to, wrapping this up, but it's like, we live in comfort, which is something I already discussed. We've kind of seen that we have cars and everything like that. And, that's another thing too. A lot of people, you've probably seen the videos, right? You have the people who are like, oh, I can't make rent next month. They're driving a brand new BMW or something. It's like, dude, you don't need these things. And that's the problem I notice with social media. We all know this. They have like Lamborghinis they rented for a day or whatever, or they had an Audi R8, or, whatever kind of BMW M4, M8, whatever. And a lot of people want to be like the other people you see online. Listen, those people are fake. They're being paid for just to get you in debt, and then you're fucked for life. And you can't be that stupid. It's better to drive an older car anyway. You don't need these luxury items. It's getting at it. And the old cars are shit anyway. The new ones, it's just, anyway. Last thing I really just want to end up with, right? 2 things. You are not the final chapter. You are the continuation who refuses to end. That's the best way you have to live your life. This is something I wrote down the other day. I was like, yeah, let's write this down. I was thinking about this really, at night. This is what I do. And I was like, that's probably the best thing you can go through in life, right? You are not the final chapter in your life. You don't have to be. You can definitely be the one that keeps going, make sure the bloodline's fine. Even if we are having this like fertility issue. So I had to cut that part out for a second. I wanted to wrap up with God. That was like that's like the last thing I really want to say in this video. And pretty much for me, right? It's changed my life dramatically. And this is something I've really been doing since November 18th, 2024. And I've been praying to him every night ever since then. It's changed my life for the better. I've gone to church. I've been going for 7 months now. And it's just something that I've always loved. Truly, ever since I started going back, I feel more connected. I feel, a lot better about myself. And I like seeing the people around there. It's really nice to see that. Because we don't really have community anymore. That's the problem. And, I like hearing some of these things that people are going on at the church and stuff like that. Like, they actually have these normal families, or like one's a lawyer here, one's a doctor, whatever. Or one's like an engineer somewhere, one lives in Texas, the other one lives, wherever. And it's really cool how their family is. They met all these people, there's connections, and it's nice to see that. And that's another like crucial thing at church too. I'm not saying you should just network at church, but it's like, you're having all these things at one time, which is awesome. And that's something I really loved ever since I started going back. See, in my life, I started reading the Bible about 4 months ago. I don't even remember, maybe 3 months ago, 2 months ago, around that time. And there's so many great stories, like things that happen. It's just like, I really truly love Jesus and everything. It's just one of the coolest things I've actually ever encountered in this life. And that's something that I can't believe that a lot of us lost, like as society as a whole. I really can't believe we all have lost that. It just doesn't make sense to me how it's even happened. And it's like a multiple different things, if I can get the words out. It's just been a 50 to 70 year war on society that we've seen from the elites, I would say, more so than anything, which a lot of people have noticed that too. Some don't, because a lot of people just don't care. And I don't know, man. I have hope for the future. I really do. I think Gen Z is like the last generation that can really change everything. And they call us retarded, they call us Zoomers, whatever. A lot of them can't read, let's be honest. I've met a lot of people, it's really scary, they can't read. They don't understand the words they're reading on the page. Like, if I, ask them to read a certain, Bible verse or something, I'd be like, okay, do you know what that means? Do you understand what he's trying to say? They'd be like, no, I read it. It's like, what do you mean you read it? It's like, did your brain understand, or did you just read it just to read? And that's something with the school thing I want to make I've been planning on making that video for a long time, but just wanted to wrap this up, saying that you can't give up on yourself. Do it for your ancestors, do it for your family around you. Even if it's just for yourself, do it for yourself, it's fine. Even though it sounds selfish and everything like that, and I know a lot of people are kind of selfish these days, but you got to do it for yourself, if that makes sense. Other than that, have a great one. I know I'm kind of like, I'm not really in the video this time. I don't know. We'll just say. It's kind of fun. Have a great one. Peace.